When people first discover Bitcoin, they usually view it in terms of making a profit. Generally speaking, the Bitcoin newbie thinks, I'll buy some and hold it, and hopefully it goes up in value and one day I might be fabulously wealthy. But Bitcoin as number go up technology is just the entrance to a rabbit hole that goes much, much deeper than just your financial situation. It gets right to the heart of who you are and what you believe in. In this video, I want to share the ways in which Bitcoin and the mindset that it requires can transform not just your financial situation, but your life, extending far beyond your bank account. It's the difference between outsourcing responsibility for your future to banks, governments, or corporations, and understanding the importance of taking ownership of your own life. In other words, Bitcoin teaches you decentralization of the self. From birth, we are integrated into systems that teach us that other people are responsible for the trajectory of our lives, from our health to education, to work, and of course, to money. We are trained to internalize that we are always at the mercy of external forces and that we must always seek information and permission and approval from those above us. I think there are so many things that Bitcoin can help open our eyes to. For example, anyone who understands the importance of financial self-sovereignty is not going to simply ignore other aspects of self-sovereignty. Money is so interwoven into every aspect of our lives. I think the wrong type of money can enslave you, but on the flip side, the right kind can help free you. So here are just 5 of the ways that I see a Bitcoin mindset changing the way you live outside of just money. And for me, I think the first one and the last one have been the most significant and impactful in my life. So the first area that I'm going to talk about is health and your physical well-being. We already know that Bitcoin teaches you the importance of self-custody. If you don't hold your own keys, someone else is in control. And the same thing applies to your health. So many people outsource their health to various systems. They eat and drink food that is engineered to provide pleasure and convenience, but very little actual nutrition. They either skip exercise or outsource it so it becomes expensive and complicated. Maybe they drink too much, maybe they smoke or take drugs, and when things go wrong, they have no choice but to rely on doctors and pharmaceuticals to manage preventable lifestyle diseases. And at that point, you may find out that the centralized healthcare systems aren't available or functioning as you need them to be. Or in some countries, you simply can't afford the care that you require. So I guess that's a little bit like leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange. It might be convenient, but it is very risky. With a Bitcoin mindset, you start to see your body as something that you must take custody of. Exercise isn't optional, it's maintaining your hardware. You need to have a strong heart, a strong body, and be physically functional. And the food that you eat is the fuel that keeps you running. You don't put low-grade fuel in a high-performance machine. You give that machine what it requires to function optimally and reduce ongoing maintenance. And if you aren't providing your body with what it needs, you can hardly be surprised when it eventually begins to break down. By decentralizing your health, you're not relying on institutions and experts to keep you alive. You take responsibility yourself, and the payoff is resilience, energy, and the ability to maintain control over your physical well-being. And I think this one is so important because you could have all the Bitcoin in the world, but without your health, it means very little. So make sure you have both. The second area that I'm going to talk about is how you spend your time and your priorities. Fiat money forces you to think in the short term. It loses value, so you're encouraged to spend, consume, and live for today. That's called a high time preference mindset. But Bitcoin is the exact opposite. It rewards patience and long-term thinking, and that is a low time preference mindset. And once you adopt this mindset, it spills over into all other areas of your life. You start asking, where am I investing my time? Am I just chasing quick dopamine hits in whatever form that they might come in? Or am I building something that will matter in 10 or 20 years from now? You can choose to invest in things that matter, like your family and friends, your skills, your business, and your health. Things that compound and pay dividends in the long term. By decentralizing your time, you stop letting consumer culture and instant gratification dictate your priorities for you. You set your own, and that makes life calmer, more intentional, and more meaningful. Before I share the third way that Bitcoin can change your life, make sure you hit like and subscribe and turn on the notifications bell to be notified when I drop a new video on my channel. Also, if you want to delve a bit deeper into Bitcoin content, make sure you subscribe to my Substack. The link is in the description below. So the third area that I think is worth exploring is freedom of thought and expression. Bitcoin is censorship resistant. Nobody can block your transaction, and in fact, nobody else can even decide if you're allowed to use the network. And once you internalize that principle, you start to expect the same freedom in your own mind. You realize that if money should be free from censorship, then so should speech, so should thought, and not just yours. You need to be willing to let others with different viewpoints speak without indulging in the urge to employ rhetoric or to silence them. You stop blindly following the mainstream narrative or shutting your mouth just so that you can fit in and appease others. You are proactive, not reactive. You decentralize your thinking. That gives you clarity, confidence, and the ability to speak honestly, even when it's unpopular. So the fourth area that I think a Bitcoin mindset spills over into is your work and contribution. So Bitcoin runs on proof of work, meaning that it is backed by real-world energy. You can't print it out of thin air, you can't cheat it, and you can't get something for nothing. When you apply that mindset to your life, you stop chasing shortcuts and hacks and start valuing real effort. Work is no longer something that you do just for a paycheck. It's your contribution. It's the pride of creating something that actually matters to you and to others. By decentralizing your work, you stop depending on fragile, centralized systems to reward you. You take ownership of your own value creation, and that makes your life more purposeful. And the last area that I believe is important to talk about is politics and society. Maybe the biggest shift comes in how you see the world, when you understand that most inequality, corruption, and societal division trace back to a fiat-funded financial system. You stop expecting politicians or the government to fix everything, because at the end of the day, most of these problems were created by them in the first place. You see that the financial system itself is broken, and at the base of that broken system sits piles of fiat currency that incentivize so many things that are destructive to people and to society as a whole. And eventually the endless media controversies and culture wars and outrage Look exactly what they are: distractions, noise to keep you focused on each other instead of the real underlying issues. So you decentralize your worldview. Instead of relying on mainstream media to inform you, waiting for top-down solutions and engaging in partisan blame and finger-pointing, you put your energy into things that you can change. You can cut out the noise and distractions, strengthen yourself, your family, and your community, focus on your own sovereignty and spirituality, and reduce your reliance on the government and on centralized systems to support you. So just to quickly recap, these are 5 ways Bitcoin changes your life beyond money. You decentralize your health by taking responsibility for getting as strong and physically resilient as possible. You decentralize your time by choosing long-term priorities over short-term gratification. You decentralize your thinking by valuing freedom of thought and expression. You decentralize your work by focusing on real contribution, and you decentralize your worldview by no longer looking to politicians and the government to fix everything for you. And this is what I mean by decentralization of the self. Bitcoin doesn't just upgrade your finances, it upgrades your mindset. Once you stop outsourcing responsibility for your money, you stop wanting to outsource responsibility for every aspect of your life. You stop expecting the state to swoop in and rescue you. And once you've seen the real issues, you can't unsee them. So let me ask you, do you agree that Bitcoin has the potential to change your life just beyond money? And what kinds of changes have you seen yourself? If this video inspired you or made you think differently about Bitcoin, like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, check out the video that just popped up on the screen, recommended especially for you by YouTube's algorithm. See you in the next video.